it happened at the very lowest and saddest times in his life. This really bothered him, and he questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said that once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way. But I have noticed that during the most troublesome times in my life, there is only one set of footprints. I do not understand why in the times I needed you most, you would leave me. The Lord replied, my precious, precious child, I love you, and I would never leave you. During your times of trial and suffering, when you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. All right, so I grew up in Connecticut. I grew up as a swimmer, and I grew up in the church. My family raised me in the church. I have a little sister and two parents. I grew up as a very faith-oriented individual. I always said, I was raised as a Catholic, so I always said, I'm a Christian. I believe in God. That was who I was. When I was little, I had a little baby Jesus doll, and I always pretended to be Mary. That was one of my favorite things to do. So I always grew up having this background of faith, but I had never needed to lean on it until I got a little bit older. So when I was 11, I started to develop an eating disorder. Do you guys know what an eating disorder is? Yeah? Okay. So I started to develop an eating disorder, and by 15, I was diagnosed with anorexia. At that point, I was forced into treatment by my parents, and I didn't want to get better. I didn't want to recover, and being forced to recover from something that your entire life has revolved around for years is really difficult, because at that point, everyone in your life is choosing something that you don't want. How many of you guys have done something you didn't want to do because your parents told you to do it? Yeah. So how much worse did that make it? Because your parents wanted you to do it. It was terrible. So think of the thing you're most afraid of. Planes, spiders, whatever. Now imagine having to encounter that thing 3 times a day with your family at the dinner table, or with your friends in the lunchroom. It's pretty scary. And every day, people are telling you, it's okay, you just need to do it, you just need to eat, you just need to hold the spider, right? It's not that simple. You need something else. So when I was 15 and I started treatment, I was also going through the confirmation process. And at that point, it was made by the people I was working with in the confirmation, through the confirmation process, that choosing to be confirmed was choosing your faith. So at 15, I was confirmed. I had chosen my faith. I had chosen to be a Catholic woman in the church. That was the path I was taking. But I still struggled, and I went in and out of recovery and in and out of relapse up until last year. So I went to college, and when you're in college, you're completely independent. You're completely on your own. No one's sitting around telling you to do your homework, and for me, that wasn't an issue. What was an issue was that I didn't have people around to tell me, okay, Hannah, you need to eat your dinner. You need to take a bite. And I know that sounds silly, but that was the struggle. And getting down to the lowest weight I ever had, my freshman year of college, at the end of my first semester, I had to withdraw from school medically. And I went into treatment. I went into residential treatment for a month. And this was the most transformative time, not only in my recovery, but also in my faith. Because people in my life, my therapists, my parents, everyone on my treatment team, they were saying, Han, what is it going to take? What's it going to take for you to get better? What's it going to take? And I didn't know the answer to that. At this point, I had been in and out of treatment for 3.5 years. I had used every type of treatment module that you possibly could. And I still wasn't better. I still hadn't been still so painful emotionally. My treatment team knew that